This is your Game of Thrones news update, where I share with you what I consider to be the most important Game of Thrones news from about the past 7 days. Warning, there are spoilers for the final season in this video, so don't watch this if you want to be spoiler-free, and definitely don't go into the comment section for multiple reasons. Also, there's a giveaway at the end of this video, so make sure you stay put to the end, or you could just jump to the end. I wouldn't know. Actually, I would know, but I never look at that part of my analytics, so even if you jump to the end to enter the giveaway, no one gives a shit. Just do it. First, I want to talk about the biggest spoilers because I'm a child and I just can't wait. So at King's Landing, that beautifully large set they created for this final season, which gets more and more amazing every time I see it, shows that Cersei wants everyone to know Lannisters rule here. She has her banners everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Excessively. Like she's compensating for something. While the anti-dragon weapons aren't out anymore like we've seen before, we see there are quivers full of arrows on the walls and a weapons rack. Which again, they built this set for a large battle and or so they could destroy it. So it makes sense to see weapons because a battle is going to happen at King's Landing. We know at one point Cersei is going to have to defend her city, whether from the living or the undead, we'll see. A leaker who was then told allegedly by HBO to take the photo down took a photo of a group of 4 or 5 archers on a tower wearing Lannister red as well. So obviously they're starting the shots for the battle at King's Landing. Here's some crazy big spoilers. The Dothraki and Unsullied are at King's Landing. Yeah, they're going back there again in the final season and they're filming right now. So I took stills of the video, but it clearly shows the Unsullied marching to the gates of King's Landing, the King's Landing set, and also we get some Dothraki to the side of it. I am so excited to see them back at the capital. This could be one of many things. Maybe Jon and Dany have beat the others and are now coming to kick Cersei's ass for not helping and possibly endangering all life. And they could be the ones that breach the gate closest to the Red Keep. As we've seen leaks of the gate made to look breached, and then they covered it to look normal. I was personally betting on the Night King and the Undead, but it could just be Jon and Dany. Interestingly, they also have the burned Lannister soldier molds just sitting out. So that could actually give more evidence to this being Dany and or Jon taking what is left of the dragons and burning the shit out of Lannister soldiers. On the other hand, Jon and Dany with their forces could lose against the White Walkers and be going south to regroup or get Cersei's help. We've already had leaked photos of Jon and Cersei talking at King's Landing, so we know at one point Jon does go back to King's Landing to try to talk to Cersei. We just don't know the order as of right now. Are they badly beat and Jon meets with her? Do they succeed, then he talks with her about peace? What are your thoughts on this? But, and just to throw out more speculation, because it's so much fun, what if these archers are firing at the others and the whites that have arrived at King's Landing? And with his undead dragon, he could be burning Lannister soldiers. To add to some of the intrigue, both Arya and Jaime's actors have been spotted in this area. So I still think Jaime's going to try going back to King's Landing, maybe talking some sense into Cersei. He realizes he can't and he just chokes the fucking shit out of her. And maybe Arya is in the area because she's using her own methods of trying to reason with Cersei, using the face of a certain individual and having a conversation that also might end in some choking. As much as I would love for Jaime to just be done with Cersei, I can see him going back to try to get her to do the right thing. This time, nothing he says will reach her though, and he'll know he has truly lost his sister. Or realize he never had her. Now Arya, she wants to kill Cersei and originally was heading to King's Landing before heading north. Though this may mean she doesn't die in the battle at Winterfell like the crazy theory I had. For those Ironborn fans, I'm sorry. if you are an Ironborn fan. But anyways, they've been doing some night shots in the location they've used for the Iron Islands in the past. I'm still hoping for some winter shots in the Iron Islands, or maybe seeing some whites there. So far, no main actors have been spotted, but we see people extras around a bonfire. There is this really terrible part of me that wants the Night King able to extend his power. So from a distance, he can raise those that have died, maybe doing so even if he isn't on the islands. Super crazy. But think of the terror of having your dead suddenly rise and start stabbing you to death. That would make for some really dramatic and gruesome TV. There's also a chance that Yara and Theon, after Theon kills Euron and rescues Yara, goes to the Iron Islands to unite them against the Night King, but I feel like that's hoping for way too much. Next, a gentleman attached to the spin-offs, Brian, talked about some of the pitfalls that could occur with the successor shows after the main Game of Thrones series ends. He said that there are a ton of ways the spin-off show or shows could go wrong, and only a few ways they could go right. That the chance of the spin-off failing is much greater than it succeeding. Which is a bit terrifying and making me not feel quite so confident in these spin-offs. Though, in fairness, he did say that he didn't expect it to fail after saying those other things. On what the spin-offs could be, he was being dodgy, saying, "I can only speak for my own, but I think the intention is to stay geographically in that world, but to tell a completely different story from a different point of view. So it is still in Westeros. It might be a story which happened hundreds of years before the story that people are watching now, or even could be a story that happened 100 years after the story that people are watching now. It is a different time period. It is still the same geography, but it is a different set of people." George also sort of weighed in on the topic of the successor show or shows, writing, "I know I'm going to be asked whether these shows are going to be based on material from Fire and Blood. It's a logical question. The only answer I can give is, well, no one is sure yet. And anyway, I am not allowed to say. So let's move that to the side." If you don't know what Fire and Blood is, it's a book coming out this November that gives us more detailed history of the Targaryens. And I love Targaryen history, and I know a bunch of other people are super excited, so yes please when it comes to this book. But George's comment does make me feel like one or two of the spin-off shows do involve Targaryen history, which honestly, the Targaryens have such a rich history. You can do so many stories and shows off of them. Their family would be an absolute blast to see in live action. I'm really sorry if you hate the Targaryens. You know it's true. But with these two fellas chiming in, the successor show, or shows, will definitely take place in Westeros at some point, not seen in the show, I guess. Personally, I do worry how a spin-off show would do. I know that the hardcore show and book fans will probably be there, but I feel like maybe we need more than that. I know we'll see how well it does, but I'm still quite nervous thinking about the possibility of a successor show actually being awesome, but still failing. Next, Rhaegar's actor took a selfie in Belfast and then quickly deleted it, leading some to believe that we're going to get Rhaegar in the final season. It is a bit suspicious to delete what could have been an innocent photo. If he had just kept it up, people would have had more doubt on his purpose there. If we get Rhaegar, I'd imagine it will be part of a quick vision by Bran. Maybe him quickly processing the past to be able to draw on relevant information. Also, Rhaegar was obsessed with the prince that was promised and saving the world. Bran could be going back to see what Rhaegar thought and what he was planning. Perhaps Rhaegar had information that can now help them against the Night King and his whites. I would love if Bran could show other people things in the past, because Jon witnessing the scene between Ned and Lyanna in the tower would be so touching and probably make me sob. Though I don't know if anyone ever wants to witness their own birth. Bran can show him after the birth part. Of course, Bran is probably just looking at the past to find more context or information to prove to Jon he's half Targaryen. Or, just information on the others and stuff. Though honestly, on the Jon thing, Jon has seen enough crazy shit at this point, I think he'll believe Bran. Still, if we are getting Rhaegar flashbacks, I'm crossing my fingers for getting the tourney of Harrenhal and maybe the Night of the Laughing Tree. Moving on, Emilia Clarke talked about the final season and how some people are going to scream, some are going to say that's exactly what they wanted, and others will go, which happens every season, but many of the actors are saying the turns and surprises this final season will really divide people. It seems to be a general worry that the amount of twists they threw in the final season is going to cause problems.
But I don't think they necessarily go to the dark places of the internet. Some people would have you believe that every season of Game of Thrones is the worst fucking season ever and D&D should be put to death or kill themselves. And then you have other people that say that Game of Thrones is perfect no matter what, and if you say a negative thing about it, you know, go fucking slit your throat. And then there's some people that feel like it's totally okay to say awful things to an old man because they haven't been given the things they want from that person. In George news, there actually was a ton of news, but I covered that in another video, so I'll link that at the end if you want to check it out.
Most important parts. No Winds of Winter this year, epic Targaryen history book in November, and George owned a bitch named Mel.
So that is your Game of Thrones news update. And remember, if someone doesn't give you what you want or does something you don't like, they absolutely have everything that's coming to them. And you are absolutely justified in everything you do or say to them. So let's talk about that giveaway.
For a chance to win a $10 gift card to Amazon, it would be more, but I'm really poor right now, I'm sorry. Just like this video and answer this question in the comment section down below. What main or mainish character is definitely becoming a white this final season? I'll pick the winner and announce it in the next news video.